Hello, this is our inclusion stop, and this is Mrs. Sauvager. She is one of our teachers, and she's also a parent as well. And myth. Inclusion. Including students with special needs into mainstream classroom has a negative impact on the other students in the classroom. Fact. Research and data from the Clearinghouse on Disabilities and Gifted Education shows that typical learners have demonstrated a greater acceptance and valuing of individual differences, enhanced self-esteem, a genuine capacity for friendship, and the acquisition of new skills when they are in an inclusive classroom with properly trained teachers. Mrs. Sauvager.
Thank you. Good morning. As Roxanne said, my name is Erin Sauvager. I am the accelerated preschool teacher here as well as the early education coordinator. But that's not the hat I'm wearing at the moment. I'm also a parent. I have two children here at the school. My son Cole is 11 and in 6th grade, and my daughter Ella is 8, very soon to be 9, and in 3rd grade. So I'm going to take just a moment to tell you a little bit more about Ella and her best friend. So Ella is what most of us would describe as the typical 8-year-old girl. She loves to listen to music. She's very athletic. She's joyful and funny, often thinking that her laughing a little too hard at her own jokes. She argues with her older brother. She loves to read, and she really enjoys school. And one of the main reasons that she enjoys school is because of her friends, all of her friends. And more often than not, when Ella's class was walking down through the halls, you would see her walking with one of her best friends, Lexi. Now, this may not be a notable occurrence for most typical students, but Ella and Lexi's friendship would not be considered typical by most people. You see, Lexi has cerebral palsy, and if you're not aware, that's a condition that affects body movement and muscle coordination. And up until a few years ago, Lexi relied solely on a walker or an attendant to help her walk. But that changed after Ella and Lexi became friends. So back up a little bit and take you back to kindergarten. At the start of kindergarten, Ella came home one day and told me that she'd made a new friend. And the first thing that she told me about Lexi was that they almost have the same birthday. Now, if you can imagine a 5-year-old, that's a pretty big deal. What she did not tell me was about Lexi's attendant. She did not tell me that Lexi didn't speak. She didn't tell me that Lexi needed help walking. She didn't tell me about their differences. The only thing she told me was what they had in common, that they both had birthdays in November, and they really liked to smile at each other a whole lot. So not long after the school year began, teachers started coming to me and telling me about the friendship that was blossoming between Ella and Lexi. It was unique and special. It was mutual and respectful. Ella was walking with Lexi down the hall, playing with her during recess, helping her get through the tough moments of the day. Imagine with all the smiling that was going on. With encouragement from her attendant and teachers, Lexi began holding Ella's hand to walk down the hall. For us, it was monumental. And then one day, Lexi let go and took steps on her own. And Ella and her classmates and her teacher were right there to cheer her on for those steps. And I'll never forget the excitement that Ella had for her friend that day, celebrating someone else's accomplishment. The excitement that everyone had that had witnessed it was infectious, and it was enough to make my heart smile, for sure. So it's been a few years since they've met, and Ella and Lexi's friendship continues. Lexi still needs help to walk, but more often than not, you'll see her at the arm of a peer rather than an adult. She participates in physical activities that she once sat on the sideline and watched. And she's grown, and so has Ella. This summer I had a conversation with Ella about friends. And I asked her, why do you think you and Lexi are best friends? Because that's what she considers Lexi, her best friend. And her response to me was, she trusts me. And I had to swallow the lump in my throat before I could respond back, because in that very moment, I realized that my 8-year-old valued what I consider probably one of the key successes in life, trust, and having someone trust in you. And that trust is a direct result of 2 children that looked beyond their differences and connected on a level that many of us just wouldn't be able to understand. Because Front Royal Christian School believes and trusts in God's plan that each person is fearfully and wonderfully made, inclusion is a way of life for my children. They don't question it. They don't resist it. They don't feel uncomfortable with peers that struggle differently than they do. My daughter has a heart for helping and caring for her friends with special needs, and I trust that God has placed her, as well as all the children that walk these halls, here for a purpose. Inclusion does not just benefit the children that are included, but it's a blessing for those that are doing the including as well. And before we go, so Lexi and Ella met in kindergarten, and in 1st grade for Christmas, Ella received a bookmaking kit. And she's very creative and loves to write and draw. And so it was a great gift. And she immediately sat down to get started on it. And she titled the book, The Adventures of Ella and Lexi. Mm-hmm. And in the book, they travel over a mountain, and they are on the playground, and they find a treasure. And it's pretty, adventuresome book. And all the while, each picture, they're holding hands every step of the way. But one of the first pages of the book was Ella and Lexi. It says, "Hi, my name is Ella. This is a picture of Lexi and I. She is my best friend, and my birthday is November 26th. Lexi's birthday is November 24th. And that's Ella and Lexi. So, thank you.
So with more educational therapists, we can have more children in our inclusive program, and so thank you for sharing that story.